welcome back to Unfilter That Lens, the podcast where we deal with the real, raw, and authentic side of mental health. I'm your host, Jackie Douglas-Jones, and today we continue episode 2 of How to Hack Your Happiness. Joining me again is Dr. Michael Mol, keynote speaker, health strategist, wellness researcher, and lovely friend of the DJ household. Now, Michael is continuing his discussion today, and hopefully we will be learning more about metrics, motivation, and mindset. So let's lock in. Okay, we're talking, where were we? We are on oxytocin, endorphins.
Basically, lifestyle habits or hacks, because you're saying, is there a perfect day? I'm saying there's never a perfect day.
No.
There are things that you can do in your day that would promote these neurochemicals and the production of these neurochemicals.
Yes.
So, for example, I think Andrew Huberman talks about within 30 minutes of waking up, get some sunlight in your eyes. Very important for the production.
Oh, that doesn't sound lovely though. Like, don't open my blinds while I'm still sleeping. Like, and I'm just woken up and now I must look at the sun.
Well, within half an hour. So just good for you. Good to go to reset your circadian rhythm. Great for your following night's sleep. And again, that impacts on REM sleep. Those are all aspects of.
So would you say it's like a cumulative? Like you've got to keep doing these things in order for your brain to understand that you're doing things.
I think if you can create a habit.
Yeah.
Without it becoming something, I've got to tick this off. Hang on a second, I've woken up. I need to go to the,
So that's what I'm worried about. When it becomes sort of like if I don't do this, I'm not going to have this.
Then you're not helping yourself. So for me, what helps me is habit stacking. So I'm sure you've heard of habit stacking.
I have not.
So take something that I already do and add something to that. So for example, I brush my teeth every morning.
Yeah.
All right.
Well done.
Yeah. Wow. And now I'm going to brush my teeth while I look at the sun.
Okay.
So can you see I'm habit stacking? Little things. Habit stacking.
Okay.
So my parents are aging. The big thing with aging is muscle mass. You've got to keep muscle as long as possible. And so for them, I habit stack with that. So when you brush your teeth more, just do some squats. Go up and down on your calves or your thighs.
Shout out to my dad, who's 76 and walks just about every single day of his life.
Fantastic.
Well done, Dad.
My grandma was 67 when she started walking.
Yeah.
Like 5Ks a day. She was 92. We don't know where she is anymore. No, I'm teasing. That's just a stupid dad.
Well, my aunt is 90 and she goes up and down the stairs every day unaided. Like, she's up and down all the time. She told me today was the first day that she felt like she was actually 90.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, ashamed. Like, what did you feel like before? Yeah. I don't understand. Won't idea. Anyway, I also want to talk now. We've spoken about sleep and why that's important. So now why is movement important? So we've looked at serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, which is our eat, sleep, move, adapt, connect, all the social connections. So we've explained why sleep's important. So now please explain why movement is important.
So again, movement gives you 3 essential neurochemicals. So we know it gives you endorphins.
Yes.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're jumping around, but you may have heard of the runner's high.
Yes.
Like, I run, I get endorphins.
Yes.
It's so unfortunate that became the thing because it's not just running, it's any kind of exercise.
Yeah.
And ironically, your resistance training, your gym workouts, your push-ups, and that gives you way more endorphins for longer than something like running or cycling does. So by all means, runners get a runner's high, very happy for you, but you're going to get way more endorphins out of a good gym session.
I like that.
High intensity, impact training, lots of endorphins, and for a long time, which is really key.
So the effect is for a long time. But like, so if you want to get that kind of endorphin sedation, how long should your gym session be? Because like I see this all the time. Like people go, no, you don't need to do a 40-minute workout. You can do a 7-minute workout and you'll get all the stuff you need. I'm like, help me. I don't understand.
I'd love to quote studies on that. My experience and understanding is if you're going to train and do a 7-minute workout, I'm glad that you're doing that as opposed to nothing. You're going to get the equivalent amount of endorphins over an equivalent amount of time if you're doing 7 minutes. If you're doing 27 minutes at way more intensity, you're going to get more endorphins for longer.
Right.
So
gotcha.
it's all relative.
Okay.
So of course you're going to get endorphins. And my sense is people often say, when's the best time in the morning or when's the best time to exercise in the day, morning or afternoon, just as an interest sake. And my sense is always if you're exercising, that's fine.
Yes.
But, yeah.
So
if you want to know,
I push myself to exercise in the afternoon because that's when I hit a wall.
Okay.
So I know that when I hit a wall, it is better for me to exercise in the afternoon because that lifts me out of that funk, and I can actually continue with my day.
And what I love about that, Jax, is you figure that out for yourself, and that's your
100%.
trick. That
I
works.
really love it. I don't love that I have to do that, but I do it because I know that it'll benefit.
Of course, if you sleep more,
there would be
more REM sleep.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic.
And at least you're doing a coffee after 90 minutes. You might find yourself, I mean, if we get into intermittent fasting, no eating in the mornings, you might find that, but you might find that that actually helps you burn through that 3 o'clock slump. So there are other ways and means. And again, this is part of that kind of the hack we're talking about. But back to exercise. So endorphins, easy. Dopamine and serotonin, big hits when you exercise. So motivated, feel good.
Gonna do it.
And the beauty of exercise, and I love people to just kind of get this. Exercise is not punishment for eating badly.
No.
Exercise is reward. It's joy. It's something that just it's a treat to be able to exercise. It really is. And exercise needs to get to that point. If exercise for you is just like, go do this again, you need a mindset change. So dopamine, serotonin, and then a reduction in cortisol.
Yes,
That's
great.
That's excellent. So talk about resilience, and bringing stress down. And when cortisol comes down, your immunity goes up. A whole bunch of good things happen. So exercise, when it comes to hacking your happiness, fantastic. But the health benefits are off the charts.
Okay, now talk to me about nutrition, the gut and brain connection.
So 2 quick things there. Nutrition is basically your building blocks of your neurochemicals.
Okay.
Dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, oxytocin need good chemicals.
Right.
If you are eating highly processed foods, you put your body in an inflamed state. And there's actually just the opposite. It reduces the production of dopamine and serotonin. Actually, sugar does a negative effect. So when you're eating, the rule is more real food, less junk food. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, their diets and their fads, at the end of the day, is a high fat, low fat, just more real food, less junk food. Anything processed, anything with sugar, you just want to avoid like the plague because it creates inflammation. Inflammation reduces dopamine, serotonin.
I just want to put a little disclaimer in there. In our household, we are actively fighting against eating disorders. So we have someone in our household who is recovering from an ED and has been recovering for the last, this year will be 4 years. She'll be in recovery. Yay. And we know from studies that it takes at least 7 years before you can actually be cured from an ED. So in our household, there are no foods that are barred. All foods are absolutely on hand and all foods are acceptable. So I just want to put that disclaimer in. If you are someone who is in recovery or you're a parent with a child in recovery, you know that kind of thought pattern it's a very sensitive subject, right? So please support your person who is going through their ED or recovering from their ED. No foods are off the table, and all we want to do is get them back into a natural and healthy rhythm of eating and enjoying and savoring their food, right? Because food is fuel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which brings you back to the sugary content again.
You get good fuel and get bad fuel, though. That's a great illustration of don't treat a mental illness condition with mental health tactics.
Don't quote me. I don't know where I read it. But I've heard that a lot of autoimmune diseases start in the gut, connected to the gut. What do you know?
Yes and no. The challenge of autoimmune diseases is we know so little about that, and about the origin of. I mean, it's a difficult condition to get into, or a difficult state to get into. It's a bit like cancer. Not all cancers are the same.
No.
In fact, every cancer is unique in the same way that autoimmune diseases are often unique. So to say they all start in the gut, some do.
Some don't. See, that's what I thought, because out of the 5 of us, 4 of us have autoimmune diseases. So there you go. If anyone wants to study our family, come on down. So that's why I wanted to ask that question, because how does the gut health and the brain health, how have they connected?
So, let me tell you about gut health and happiness.
Yeah, please.
Or gut health and mental health, if you like.
I like that.
90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut.
No.
If you've got
Remind us what serotonin is for?
Serotonin is an internal sunshine. Confidence, that sense of that feel good, regulated emotions. 90% produced in your gut.
Yeah.
And if you've got a healthy gut biome, which you get from whole foods.
Yes.
you're going to be producing plenty of serotonin. If, unfortunately, you're doing processed foods and the inflammatory state of what you're eating, you get into dysbiosis. And you can't produce the amount of serotonin that you need. You get into serotonin depletion, and that affects your mental health state. So food really closely connected to what you put into your mouth. Well, to your happiness. It's obviously connected to what you put into your mouth.
So I'm just thinking of two of my children who do the happy dance when they eat. Like like when they put good food in their mouth, like they will literally start to move at the table. Like it's a happy dance because they love and they savor that, and it makes them happy. Makes them happy.
So can I, Jax, you brought that up a lot. So let me say this just as not as a disclaimer, but often, and you will hear that on social media often, is, in my experience, X.
Yes.
I seldom say that because my experience is very different from yours. And you cannot base an idea, you cannot base a treatment plan, you cannot base advice on my experience. So what I'm sharing with you comes out of research. It's like widely, it's kind of evidence-based. This is what we know from a big group of individuals. So your experience is quite different, quite unique, quite separate from, which is amazing. But it's also, that's why you can never say, this is what we do, you should do the same.
Exactly.
And I say that because whatever you listen to on social media, whatever TikTok and MedTalk puts out there, guys, be careful of the individuals that say, I took this diet and I lost 12 kilograms, or I had this food or this pill. What's the weight of evidence? And that's always something you got to look at. So just a little kind of plug there for just look at the source of your information, where it comes from. So
love that.
Cool. So serotonin, 90% in your gut, good serotonin.
Okay. I want to ask you something else. I'm going to move on to we talked about cortisol, stress, we talked about that kind of stuff. I want to know, let's talk about the physiological sigh, the cold showers, all of that kind of stuff too. Someone said yesterday, it's like slapping you through the face. It does the same thing. I don't have to have the cold shower. Like, you just slap me and then I'll be fine. Now, as someone who suffers with an autoimmune disease, and mine is sensitive to temperature, do not put me in a cold shower. I will hurt you.
I don't suffer from an autoimmune disease, and I don't like cold showers.
No, I do not like that.
But let me explain it to you this way. And this is, there are, I'm not going to get into the Wim Hof method, but I'm going to...
There was?
The Wim Hof method. He was the guy that started cold plunging. Google Wim Hof. But let's start with your autonomic nervous system.
Yes.
Okay. So you have an autonomic nervous system. That's the part of you, brilliant, that literally just keeps everything ticking. So breathing, heart beating, just temperature regulation while you are thinking about what to eat and what to buy and all that sort of stuff. So that's what happens. That's what the autonomic nervous system is. You have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic aspect of it. When we are in fight or flight, panicked, anxious, sympathetic is up there. When we rest and digest, calm and relaxed, parasympathetic is kind of the predominant sort of driving force. We want those two to be in sync and balanced. How do you do that? Well, the most scientifically validated way of doing that, and Andrew Huberman's a big fan of this, is the physiological sigh.
I love that.
And it's something you can do often, all the time, before a big presentation, before a podcast with Jax Douglas Jones, just to kind of regulate things. If your kids are getting out of hand, it's a wonderful way to kind of go, just level.
Can we say it louder for my husband, please? That sighing is good. That when you hear me sigh, it's okay. So I sigh a lot.
Good. And but here's the official way to do it. So I'm sure you know what the official way is. But the physiological sigh is a maximal inhalation through your nose. So
amazing.
And at that point of maximal inhalation, you get even more. Yep. You fill it up there, and then out through your nose, out through your mouth slowly. So if we do that in one, do that a couple of times, and your sympathetic and parasympathetic literally go like this. The other thing that happens, and we can talk to this in a moment, is your heart rate variability almost doubles. You want high HRV. If you want to do that, almost instantly.
I want to know what that is.
We'll chat to that in a moment. But quickly, coming back to physiological sigh and cold showers. Cold showers are interesting because what happens when you get put in a cold shower? You and I both know this. That cold water comes on and there's just adrenaline and cortisol and it's panicked and like, what are you doing? And your body goes into this sympathetic overdrive. And you're like, But in that time is when you kind of stand there and you breathe, do the physiological sigh, calm yourself, center yourself, deal with the crisis, the stress that you're putting yourself under. And suddenly it's not so bad and you've dealt with it. And, then you can turn the heat up again and you're back to normal. Now that is good exercise. That's a good way to train yourself to deal with stressful situations. Because, you're at work, you're at school, you've got your kids are giving you absolute hell, whatever it is, and your stress levels are going through the roof. And the more you do the cold shower, the more you do the physiological sigh, the more your body can adapt very quickly under those stressful conditions and regulate quickly. So for me, outside of the benefits of cold plunging and, there's good science, there's not such great science, there's fringe science. The benefit of helping yourself or training yourself to be more resilient to stress and adrenaline and cortisol is a real benefit.
It is, considering the world we live in today. Yeah, I like that. I like that very much.
You mentioned HRV very briefly. So heart rate variability. Your heart beats, the period between your heartbeats is not the same. Might feel the same, but there's microsecond differences between every heartbeat. In fact, when you breathe in, your heartbeat slows down. When you breathe out, your heartbeat speeds up. All right. So you want good heart rate variability. You want that distance or that space between heartbeats to vary all the time, because it means your heart is reactive and adaptive. It's a healthy heart. So a high HRV means you have a healthy heart, a healthy nervous system, a healthy cardiovascular system. Okay. And it's a great proxy and measure for how resilient you are and how well rested you are. So if you want to know if you've had a good night's rest, if you want to know if you're ready to tackle the day, if you like. And I say this with a little bit of disclaimer, because what you don't want is people go, I've got a bad HRV, I'm going to have a bad day. No, it's just a good measure of your resilience and your recovery is your HRV. Okay. If you've got an Apple Watch, it does that. I'm sure Android phones do the same. Find some way to figure out what your HRV is and measure it on a regular basis. And it's a great proxy for your ability to deal with stress, to be resilient, and probably just a good resilience score is maybe the best way to describe it. That's HRV, heart rate variability.
What happens if you've got like an abnormal heart rhythm? Like,
you can still get HRV.
Okay.
It's just going to be a little bit unusual and hard to measure. And
that's me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. There is a list. It's amazing.
I will get there. Don't worry. It is all good.
But my point is, it's a quick little measure. HRV is just a quick little measure of how am I doing? What's my resilience like? Am I well recovered? And there's great sort of ranges that you can work within. And I mentioned the physiological side. If you can, and there are ways to measure your HRV sort of in the moment, check your HRV, do a physiological sigh, and most times it doubles your heart rate variability. So it's that good for you. Cool. Way too much science.
No, right. My brain is processing everything because there's so much meat to what you're saying that my brain is taking time to digest it all. But I want to actually just wrap up, and I want to wrap up with social connection. And the reason I want to wrap up with that is because sometimes people don't understand how much social connection plays into helping with mental health, but also those struggling with mental illness. Because a lot of times people who are in that state of mental illness, and when I mean, I'm talking about an adverse state, right? Social connection can really help with clarity and understanding. Just having people kind of go, really, is it like, I just want to hide away from the world kind of thing. But how does social connection help us in terms of our mental health? Like, what is it about the circle? I know we talked about the touching and the eye contact, but that sort of social connection, what does it do to our brain? But what does it actually do for our mental health?
So to tell you exactly how social connection benefits us is a little hard or harder to do, and I don't think I'll put the research on there, but we do know that it has a huge impact on our health and well-being. The longest study on human health and well-being has been running for something like 83 years. Started in 1938 or something ridiculous. It's had 4 different directors who literally, have died and guys have taken over. So the longest longitudinal study on human health and well-being has shown us essentially one thing.
Yes.
A whole bunch of interesting stats and studies and findings. The most prevalent finding that bubbles to the surface every single time, that's like the number one thing, is that social connections, good relationships, are good for our health. And that loneliness is toxic.
Yeah.
People who are socially isolated live shorter, die younger, have more health issues than those who are socially connected. You asked why? There is theories around dealing with stressful situations in community that assist us with, as opposed to doing it alone. But that's more vague. For me, I can't quite put my thumb on the why or explain it, but I know the how, and I know that it works.
Yes.
And that's key. I mean, if you think about, I heard this morning, when babies are born and they open their eyes, the first thing they look for is human connection.
Yeah.
That's like the drive, the human drive. I want other humans. I'm just looking for people looking at you.
Yeah.
And then when they get old enough, we'll put a screen in their hands, and all their ambitions for human connection dissolve, and they become addicts to the screen. So interesting that. So social connections, so healthy for us. Guys have drawn correlations between quitting smoking or social connection is as effective as quitting smoking, as effective as exercising on our health. That's how important being connected is. And it's not just deep, healthy relationships. It's that connection with the barista. It's the guy that makes your coffee, look him in the eye, thank him, and that little moment, social connection, good for you. Paige Adams always just said, just talk to strangers and smile at people.
Yeah. My husband's famous for that. Like, there are many coffee shops that know my husband in and around our area. And that's an amazing social connection for him, especially considering the fact that he deals with an autoimmune disease. And for him, getting out to go and have that social connection with people outside of the house is one way that kind of just lifts him out of everything, and he can actually just...
It's brilliant. My experience with Anthony is he will, I'll be having coffee, we'll chat to someone, and after like, so where do you know the guy from? He goes, I don't know. Met him now. Like, wow.
Yeah. Little story time to end off. In Italy with our kids, we went to Florence. My husband does Florence. I love Florence. We've been there a few times. We went to the food market to go and get supper. That was at about 4:00. We got there and we thought, we'll just have a little drinky, just a little one, because we're in Italy. So we did that. At about 8:30, the kids messaged us and went like, is the food coming today or like tomorrow? Like, when is the food coming? And I had to take photos. I was like, sorry, Daddy made friends. Because Ant was at that stage behind the bar with all the barmen, and he had made friends. Social connection, my husband is an expert at anywhere in the world. I had to warn my kids. I had to say to them, just leave him alone. Let him make the friends. Don't stop him. You might be embarrassed. Just suck it up and move on. I just want to say thank you so much for coming in today, for sparing the time for us. I really, really, really appreciate it, because this is such a big thing in what we do in terms of promoting and advocating for good mental health. And I love the fact that you actually made time for us.
Sure.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Can I just say this, Jax? It sounds like after what we've spoken about, and there's been lots and tons of stuff, information, it's meaty, yes. And then you might kind of go, where do I start? What do I do? If you're feeling like that, small step.
Yeah, tiny.
It's just...
brush your teeth and look at the sun.
Precisely. Take a small step. So just pick... whole food over not whole food.
Yeah.
You see what difference that makes.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of exercise. Go for that walk that you didn't feel like doing. Just those little things that you can actively do without having to overthink it, without having to add complexity to your life. Just do that, and it starts this upward positive cycle. A little bit more dopamine and serotonin, and just a little bit more confidence, and it blossoms. And it just starts with taking that first small step.
And with that, ladies and gents, we thank you so much for joining us again for this episode of Hack Your Happiness. And if you need to go back and rewind and listen to some terminology, do that. If you need to research some stuff, do that. Get involved in your own mental health and advocate for yourself on every level. Thank you. And once again, we will see you again next time. Thank you. Goodbye.